Hey, champs! Smithmas is right around the corner. In fact, by the time I release this video, Smithmas is probably already out. The menus are already Christmas themed, which means a new update is on the horizon. And you know what that means. We're gonna get a bunch of new maps, we're gonna get a bunch of new hats, we're gonna get a bunch of new glowing fucking shit-ass unusual effects, a bunch of taunts, a bunch of stuff. A lot of stuff added into the game. Oh, you gotta play all the new maps. You gotta buy the case, you gotta unbox, you gotta get the new hats. Feels a little meh. I'm not that much of a fan of just how much gets added to this game and how the quality is handled. Every single update, summertime, Halloween, Scream Fortress, Christmas, Smithmas updates, we always seem to get a ton of new content. I mean, fuck me, we got like 13 new maps in summer 2023, something like that. And I'm gonna be kind of real. Every single time I see new hats get added, I see them and I go, isn't that already in the game? Don't we already have a shitty little elf hat for Scout or for all class or whatever? It kind of got me thinking about the future of TF2 updates. Because as it is now, for the next 5 years, we're going to continue to get a shit ton of new maps, a shit ton of new hats, a shit ton of new this, a shit ton of new that. And to be honest, I'm not really all that excited for it. And I think there's a big reason as to why. It's bloat and oversaturation. For example, we have way too many maps in this game, and what that can do is it can kind of make it difficult to find a game for some of the maps you really, really like. Why? Because everyone else is playing a different map. The player base kind of gets spread thin. As for oversaturation, sometimes we get too many new hats and too many new maps, and what that does is it takes away the focus from the truly special maps and hats that really kind of deserve the limelight all on their own and could honestly carry the entire update on its own. So I kind of wanted to go through and give my thoughts on every single item that is typically added in an update, and what I think should be done in order to counter this feeling of bloat. Starting off hats and war paints, they're pretty simple, honestly. I think that they should be quality over quantity, and that the quantity should honestly be reduced a little bit. We don't necessarily need upwards of 20 hats or whatever added every single update. And as for the quality, well, I personally think that a lot of the new hats should 100% just represent what the mercenaries do and who they are, and not necessarily some generic elf hat, which I know there have been a lot of people who have stated their opinions on that, but I think that would help make each individual hat feel a lot more special, is if they could just be something original and something we haven't gotten before, even if that means we're going to get less per year. The same exact thing goes for war paints. I should also mention taunts. Taunts aren't usually a big offender for what I'm really discussing here. I think 3 or 4 new taunts are absolutely fine. Again, quality over quantity, but generally speaking, I'm just gonna mention them just so nobody asks for my opinion on them. They're not a huge issue. What is an issue, and what I think are one of the biggest offenders for bloat and oversaturation, are unusual effects. My god, for an item quality that only a fraction of the player base will ever have their hands on, there are a metric fuck ton of unusual effects in this game. Holy shit, there's 31. I'm just reading, like, on the wiki right now. There's 31 unusual effects that were added in Smithmas of 2023. What the actual fuck? Who's gonna get even like one? Now, I'm not a trader main myself, but I have to say that, man, some of these unusual effects I just don't care about. And the main reason for that is because I haven't really seen one of the unusual effects like more than one singular time when actually playing the game. I don't know, I never have that moment where I look at the unusual effect in game and I go, oh, that's really cool, I want to get my hands on that one, that's really great. And the reason is because, well, you can only really unbox them in the cases that dropped that year. Once a new set of cases starts dropping, the rate at which people are unboxing these unusual effects is obviously gonna drop, right? While some of these opinions that I've stated so far may be kind of controversial, I kind of believe that this one might be an even more controversial one. I think we should probably stick with the same unusual effects and Halloween effects for maybe 3 years or so, and then maybe get a new set of unusual effects added. But for now, I think once per year is just way too frequent to add these kinds of items that only a fraction of the player base is gonna get. I don't know, maybe that's just me. And finally, I wanted to mention probably the most important piece of content added in every update, and one of the biggest offenders as to the recent feeling of bloat and kind of oversaturation. I feel like it's one of the things that make updates naturally feel less special. The maps. We have way too many of them. In Smithmas 2023, we had 10 new maps added. Some of them were added to the year-round casual rotation. And to make matters even worse, we had 10 new maps added in summer of 2024, all of which were added to the casual rotation year-round, and in that same time frame, we got even more of the Smithmas 2023 maps added to the casual rotation pool. Enough! We don't need any more. We got enough. We've got a metric Alexander fuck ton of new maps. Let's slow it down a little bit. Here's what I propose. Now, I want to start by saying before I propose this, I understand that Valve is not willing to probably put in the work for this, but I at least want to get the concept out there to prove that it can be done. We can give every player what they want, or at least a lot of them what we want, while not bloating up the game. I propose we have a year-round community map rotation in casual. Let's say the month is March of 2025, and there are 4 maps added from the community workshop for every single person to play, run on Valve servers. For that month, you can play on these maps. You can send feedback to Valve, you can rate them, you can give feedback to the creator, and depending on what you say and the community reaction to the maps, we can either get the map to be polished by the time it comes out for the update, or we could just say, I don't really want this. this map kind of sucks, and then we won't get shit like Whatville coming in. Then in April, we get 4 new maps. And then in May, we get 4 new maps. Now, not all of these are added, but we still get to experience them and vote on what we like. I know that things like the Minecraft mob vote may make a community vote sound a little bit off the rails, as something that not everyone wants, but the difference between that and this is that we're not voting for just one map. We're voting for, do we want this map in the game, or do we not want this map in the game? May rolls around, and then June, and then eventually the summer update rolls around, and then Valve has all the data and all the feedback to use to determine what maps should go into the update. We still get to play a wide variety of maps if that's your thing. If every time you boot up TF2 you want to play something new, you can still have that. But at the same time, we only get to keep maybe a few of them. And not just a few of them, but the most popular ones. Now the real question is, how many? How many maps per update? Okay, gonna get controversial again. I personally believe that one singular map can carry an entire update. Scream Fortress has proven that year after year after year. Well, before we got a ton of new maps, so that's beside the fucking point. However, I understand that one new map probably isn't enough for everyone. So I'd compromise and maybe say 2 to 4 new maps per update. It's a vast improvement over 10 new maps added. Maybe for Smithmas, we could do 2 maps to add to the year-round casual rotation and 2 maps that are just Smithmas exclusive. Of course, once again, this feature is probably going to require a lot of work, but I think it would actually benefit TF2 for years and years and years to come. There wouldn't be as much content, sure, but the content that would be in there would feel like it matters more. Less is more. So if we go by these standards, we should have 2 to 4 high-quality maps in the game added to casual per update, along with a handful of quality hats and war paints and 3 to 4 taunts or so. Find a nice little theme to tie everything together, and boom, I think we've actually got a really solid update for very little effort on Valve's part. Like I said, the only thing that would really require a ton of effort is that map rotation idea, but I think it would be something great to have. I've heard people throw around the idea of having the maps that are already in the game be on a seasonal rotation, and I personally am not a huge fan of that. There are some maps that definitely could use that, but if I can't play upward from like March to fucking May, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna go fucking postal. So I don't like that idea. You have to draw the line between what maps should and shouldn't be seasonal, and it's just a bunch of shit. Let's just take it from where we are at now. But hey, I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear conversation. I love a lot of the conversation that I get on this channel. That's the main reason that I do these videos, is I like to encourage discussion within the community. So give me your thoughts. I want to hear them. I want to read them. I want to respond to them, whatever. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there.